Narcissists and Aging. The book, Weeping Soul, is available as a PDF via the link below. Thank you for your order. To return to the topic of the video, Narcissists and Aging. Unfortunately, a narcissist remains a narcissist until the end of life. Narcissists are afraid of aging, and they become worse and worse as they get older. They become full of bitterness, especially if they are aware that, with all the effort they have put in, they do not have significant results in old age, and that is how it is with most narcissists. Since narcissists are turned toward themselves and satisfying their own needs, over the years a lot of things disappear because the hunting ground has shrunk. So many of them become depressed and miserable and, of course, victims again, this time of their own lives. With years, everything changes, from achievements and looks to professional awards, acquaintances, and fame. They have less and less space to manipulate someone, and they have fewer and fewer people they can play victims in front of who will care, so they become cranky and dissatisfied. And they blame others for being where they are. Some narcissists in older age go to the other extreme and become even worse than they were in youth and middle age. They become more aggressive, more violent, ruder, more impolite. In one word, they become desperate because they are aware that they are aging, and on the other hand, they become fearful, lonely, and in constant need to constantly defend themselves. And all because of the loss of control they are used to having over others. What is common to all narcissists is that they become impolite, very impolite, and as they age, they use aging as an excuse for being more and more impolite, and they think they are allowed to say everything to everyone and humiliate them, all wrapped as a well-intentioned comment. And because they are old, everyone should forgive them and look through their fingers. And actually, the older they get, they start being bigger manipulators. What often happens with older narcissists is that they isolate themselves and are alone because they were abandoned by friends and the person they lived with, so they are left to themselves. They are also abandoned by children who grow up and go their own way, or they break all contact with them because of their negative influence on their lives. Grandchildren will also avoid them because parents have set boundaries to protect them from the narcissist's influence. Narcissists love when people who are near them suffer whenever they can, and that does not change with their old age, but it only increases. Of course, none of us like aging, but with years we try to grow and develop inside ourselves, becoming calmer and feeling pride and gratitude for everything we gained in life. Aging means maturing. At least it should be like that, but with narcissists it is not like that. They are the main stars in their lives for their whole life. In their heads they created a scenario of who they are and who they think they are, and the narcissist is not interested in any reality except the one he created for himself. Aging is very hard for a narcissist because his invented reality starts collapsing. He cannot accept that he is turning gray, that he is losing teeth, that he moves slower, and that he cannot do a lot of things like he could before. He thinks he is above that. Actually, they are their own worst enemies because they do not accept changes. Also, they know how to find a much younger partner than themselves because they want to feel young with them and because they think their youth is transferable. With years, the delusions they have become even more expressed because ghosts of the past become strong and start haunting them. They simply wander off into a delusion and live it. Also, narcissists are paranoid people, and with years that paranoia becomes stronger and stronger. Their beliefs become completely twisted so that even the most loyal to them leave them and go away, knowing they are making things up and that, even with the best will, they cannot help them. Or, on the other hand, they make excuses for them and their behavior. Simply, their delusions swallow them. Narcissists become people full of prejudice toward everything and everyone because they consider their beliefs to be the only ones that are correct, even though they are often wrong. Also, the lies they tell and the way they speak become pathetic, so much that they change the sound and intonation of the voice so that it becomes sad to watch. Often friends and family become enemies to them, and they have a very hostile attitude toward them, even though no one did anything to them. Everything bothers them. Also, they like to say they will not live for much longer when they pass a certain age, some number they imagined. Let's say 62, 65, 70 years, and they repeat that when they want to trigger additional empathy and for someone to tell them they will live for a long time. Additional attention they feed on, and which they get that way. So with narcissists, everything is black or white. Either he is the main shining star or he is depressed and miserable. If they start losing memory, they will tell you, "Why didn't you remind them?" And they will blame you for them forgetting. Or they will say you should have done it, like, "I told you to do it, but he didn't, and he knows he didn't." In that way, he projects his frustrations and anger on the other person, and of course, it leads to gaslighting and conflict situations. Although they feel they are losing memory, they will try with all their strength to hide it, believing that they can still trick everyone. They forget to pay bills. They don't know where they leave things. They forget favorite places. Some narcissists completely withdraw into themselves and just sit for hours. They become an empty shell. In the end, we all reap what we sow. They cannot help themselves or see themselves with normal eyes. They cannot change. They are simply what they are, and they remain like that forever. Narcissists will never change. They only become worse and worse, and their fuse becomes shorter. Masks fall faster, so they react aggressively more often and use gaslighting more often. Many have tried. Many stayed in marriages and relationships hoping they would change. However, they only hurt themselves even more because a narcissist never changes. A wolf changes its hair, but never its nature. So, it is a lost battle in advance. Don't allow his pain and suffering to make even bigger suffering and pain in your life. Save yourself and your soul, because a narcissist remains a narcissist. Unfortunately. Thank you for listening. See you in the next video, and kind regards.